What up, guys? Back to YouTube after a few days away, and we've got a lot to catch up on, so much so that I'll probably have to do this in multiple videos here today. First up, though, we'll be talking about Q. We've got some new drops from just this morning. We'll be talking about Notch, the creator of Minecraft, arguably one of the most popular video games of all time. He tweeted about Q and about space. Very interesting. We'll also be taking a look at the new Great Awakening Q book that is topping the charts of Amazon. The mainstream media hates it. They hate it. Which means I love it. So we'll be talking about that. We'll be discussing a lot more hate and attacks that the mainstream media is sending conspiracy theorists' way, as they always do. So let's get started. And now a word from a sponsor. Investing in the stock market can be risky with its volatility, and not only that, but it can be difficult figuring out how to even do it or finding someone trustworthy enough to help you. What if there was a safer investment that could bring you more financial return in the long run, something protecting you against inflation? What if you had someone there you could count on to walk you through the investing process? Precious metals like gold and silver are that much safer bet. They have always had a steady climb in prices, and with speculations by many that the US dollar may soon get back onto a metal-backed currency, the demand for these commodities is sure to increase. And luckily, the guys at NOBLEGOLD are here to help you navigate the market. They can help you get set up with a gold and silver IRA or invest in physical metals like their commemorative coins. To start learning more about metals, give them a call or check out one of their free ebooks. You can find their links in the description below. Alright guys, so to begin, let's look at Q's drops from just this morning, starting with post 2980 here. Q giving us a link to a New York Post interview that Donald Trump did with them from the end of November of last year. So this was about three and a half months ago, and the New York Post titled this one, "Trump Threatens to Declassify Devastating Documents About Democrats." Let's take a quick look at this. It says, in a wide-ranging interview with the Post, Trump said that if House Democrats launched probes into his administration, which he called presidential harassment, they'd pay a heavy price. The commander-in-chief said he could declassify FISA warrant applications and other documents from Mueller's probe, and predicted the disclosure would expose the FBI, Justice Department, and the Clinton campaign as being in cahoots to set him up. I think that would help my campaign. If they want to play tough, I will do it. They will see how devastating those pages are, Trump said. And he also told the Post he wanted to save the documents until they were needed. It's much more powerful if I do it then, Trump said, because if we had done it already, it would be already yesterday's news. Very important there. Q saying, read carefully knowing what you know now. Well, knowing what we know now, that's exactly what happened. House Democrats launched probes into Trump and his administration recently. Q saying predictable, absolutely the deep state is. Moves and counter moves, death blossom. So moves and counter moves, as Q continuously reiterates, game theory. This is a global game of risk. I believe Q has said that phrase before as well. So much strategy going on right now, which is exactly why we haven't seen the FISA docs declassified yet. This is a massive card in the pocket of Trump, Q team, and the White Hats. Q then says death blossom as well. And death blossom is a coded reference. Let's check out Urban Dictionary. And it says here, death blossom, American military slang from the war in Iraq. It's the tendency of Iraqi security forces in response to receiving just a little bit of fire from the enemy to either run away or do the death blossom, spraying fire indiscriminately in all directions, reported on globalsecurity.org. So a death blossom is basically a little bit of fire happens and all these guys just go, and they just spray their guns in the air because they don't know where it's coming from. And Death Blossom is a reference to the movie The Last Starfighter from 1984. And the Death Blossom is their new technology, their new weapon that they're using. And you can see here it just sprays in all directions. So that's why the military started calling the Iraqis the Death Blossom, because they just started spraying everywhere in the air like that. And by Q referencing this military language here, Death Blossom, essentially the deep state, that's exactly what they did. For the last few months, they have been using up all their ammunition. We've seen deaths of cabal members. We've seen House Democrats try to do this investigation, that investigation. They're using up all their ammo. They're using up all their propaganda, right? They're making all these counter moves that are sloppy and ending up hurting them in the long run. So that's why we haven't seen FISA declassified yet, because the white hats are just keeping it in their back pocket to make the deep state fumble the ball, essentially. But very soon we will see FISA declassified, which looks like could very well be this month. Next drop, 2981, Q linking us to a tweet from Sarah Carter. Sarah Carter was posting her article talking about the border crisis. She was covering the border crisis hearing in front of Congress today, and it is very real, it's very serious, and it is a threat. Q saying, but they, the Democrats, already know. They just lie. They lie about what's going on at the border. They lie about it being a humanitarian crisis. It absolutely is. Next tweet Q links is of Senator Dianne Feinstein. This is a short, about minute-and-a-half video of her actually supporting a wall, supporting border security, supporting new reformed immigration, not letting illegal immigrants into the country. It's amazing. All of these Democrats, 180 degrees, total flip-floppers, only saying what serves their agenda or what serves the public's ears. It's all PR for them. Q saying, welcome to the D Party con. Next drop, 2982. Freedom of thought will not only save you, but it will save the world. The days of fake news, controlling the narrative, brainwashing are over. Enemy of the people. Fake news media is the Great Awakening. Q. And then the last drop here, 2983. Why is POTUS pushing for term limits? Time equals corruption. That was in response to an anon stating Dianne Feinstein said this many decades ago, so she is absolutely full of it. That's in referencing her flip-flopping on border security. POTUS is pushing for term limits because the more time these congressmen spend in government, the more they flip-flop, the more that money corrupts, the more their pockets get lined and they appease their special interests. And then this sort of crap occurs, flip-flopping and stifling of a Make America Great Again agenda. So that's what we have for Q here. I do also want to touch on a new count for the sealed indictments that has been released since it's a new month. So February 2019 update to the sealed court records around the country. We have 5,832 new ones entered in the month of February, bringing the total up to 82,324 entered through the months of basically November 2017 to February 2019, averaging just over 5,100 a month. And Q did have a response to this saying, thank you, Anon. Note, not all are USA versus blank. Nothing to see here. I would venture to guess that basically means that there could be a few of these that aren't against some criminal organizations, transnational organizations, or cabal members. You know, some of these are run-of-the-mill court cases. Some of these might be private cases as well. But the majority of them, you know, maybe upwards of 60, 70, 80% of these court records across the country, of these 80,000, 82,000 sealed court records, have everything to do with Huber's work and what's going on with the Inspector General and that aspect of the plan. So very good news there, and very soon we'll see all those start to break loose. I would imagine that's why we're seeing articles like this being run in the mainstream media. The Intercept here writing, it's still open. Will the Guantanamo Bay prison become a 2020 issue? And this piece goes on and on to essentially paint Guantanamo Bay as being this horrible prison, that human rights abuses have occurred there. Now, I'm not denying that, but the case they're stating in this article is that it should be closed, and that closing the prison should be on the 2020 list of campaign issues. Wonder why they're running articles like this, correct? Because the deep state knows that the Guantanamo Bay prison is being outfitted for them. So they are desperate to close it. They're desperate to really get any law passed, do anything to help them avoid what is inevitable, which is their downfall. Not going to happen. All right, so now let's move on into talking about Notch. Notch real name Marcus, is the creator of Minecraft, arguably one of the most popular video games of all time. And the other day, he tweeted about Q. He said, Q is legit. Don't trust what the mainstream media says, to his 3.6 million Twitter followers. And this is huge, so much so that the Inquisitor decided to run an attack piece on him, basically trying to, discredit the information, throw shade on him for doing so. But props to Notch for tweeting about Q, having the courage to do that. I mean, he's also tweeting about essentially secret space program stuff. I saw a tweet from him the other day that said suddenly the Space Force feels like it's been around a while. So he is really beginning to wake up his huge fan base to these sort of heavy-hitting ideas. This is great stuff. This is exactly what we need these public figures and these famous people to start using their platform for. Once we get folks in movies and music, entertainment, in the video game sector, these sorts of industries start to wake up and have the courage to go public, speak out about these things, this is when the Great Awakening will really kick it up a notch. So thank you, Notch, for doing what you're doing, having the courage to speak out like that. And moving on to the QAnon book. So NBC deciding to run this article the other day saying on Amazon, a QAnon conspiracy book climbs the charts with an algorithmic push. And this is the book right here, QAnon, An Invitation to the Great Awakening, authored by, they called it Where We Go One, We Go All. And this was a book that was a compilation by a few people. I'm not too familiar with all the exact names, but I believe Dustin Nemos was spearheading this project. Joe M contributed to it, Space Shot as well, and then quite a few other folks contributed to the effort too. And, quite frankly, this is causing quite a controversy. The mainstream media, they're just salivating and writing all their poor, pathetic hit pieces over this. But this is causing quite a stir in the Q community, I'm seeing on Twitter and some other places as well. And, frankly, I want to get this book. I want to do a proper review on it and everything for this channel. From what I've seen of it, I frankly might have written a few things differently, went a little bit different of a way with a compilation project like this. But props to these guys. Props to these guys for taking it upon themselves to put together this project, for uploading it to Amazon, for basically gaming their algorithms and getting to the top of the charts with this. Very incredible work, my friends. So props to that. Again, few things I would have done differently. There's some criticisms I have for this, but overall, I mean, shoot, you guys who did this book, you got to the top of the Amazon charts. You got a story being run nationally in the mainstream media right now. So all publicity is good publicity as long as you're on the side of truth. I don't find any ill will or ill intention from this particular project. So that's why, I'm not saying I support it 100%, but I do support it in general. I am happy for them for doing this. And again, just pathetic, plainly pathetic to see the mainstream media doing what they're doing. Ben Collins here, he is NBC's go-to for trying to discredit QAnon. He did a primetime piece for the video on their national news on NBC News, and it was just horrible. He was fumbling over his words. He looked all scared and angry and upset. You can feel the insanity behind these mainstream media journalists writing on this stuff. Like, they are desperate for anything they can piece together to try to discredit the information and the movement, which is, we could keep talking about this. It's just incredible. So, very good news. This stuff is just continuously going public, guys. Continuously going public. Now a few more stories here for you. This one, NSA quietly stopping controversial mass phone surveillance program after public outcry. And what I have to say about this is that now that the Patriots are in control, they are ending the unnecessary baggage that the deep state created to data mine us. So thank you. Right here, we've got Jerome Corsi retracting InfoWars story that spread Seth Rich conspiracy theory. Really weird move for him to make. This sort of gives the mainstream media very easy ammunition to try to discredit the story behind Seth Rich and his murder, right? And if you follow InfoWars for quite a while and start connecting the dots around who they are, what they talk about, what they don't talk about, more importantly, you kind of begin to see how they're 90% truth, maybe 80% truth, and 10 to 20% mis and disinformation. So really weird stuff for them to be doing. Not sure I trust all that comes out of InfoWars. And we have a couple last articles from the mainstream media trying oh so desperately to discredit conspiracy theories. These ones coming out of The Verge. It says, when it comes to conspiracy theories, intuition and stress conspire against you. And the next one says, why content moderators fall for conspiracy theories. But then in the subtitle, they say a stressful job plus repeated exposure can change a person's views. Oh, it's stress. I guess that's the new angle among many that they're trying to take to discredit conspiracy theories. But let's be real. It's the people who don't believe in conspiracy theories, that don't particularly get it, we can say, aren't they the ones that are more stressful? You know? If a person has no idea what's going on in the world and they're still working their wage slave jobs with no real goal or vision in life, and they don't realize that the world is screwed up purposefully for a reason, there's causes to all these things going on. They don't realize that, oh my gosh, disease can be cured. Oh my gosh, there is free energy out there. When you don't understand these things, yeah, you can be a little stressed out. But when you realize that, oh wow, vaccines are harming us, I can just avoid those. Oh wow, climate change isn't necessarily my fault, I don't feel bad. Oh wow, free energy exists and it's coming sooner or later, so what do we really have to worry about, right? Aren't the conspiracy theorists, they tend to be the less stressed people. They tend to be the more cool, chill people, the ones who kind of get it. So I would much rather have conspiracy theorists in my life than anybody else. And last but not least, you can see the desperation that they have to try to quash conspiracy theories and misinformation. Just typing misinformation into Google here, you can look all sorts of attack pieces on anti-vaccine information. Of course, they call it misinformation, but it's not. They're talking misinformation due to tech companies, misinformation on YouTube and Amazon and social media. They're just, reeking of desperation. So this is going to be a really fun month, guys. We're going to continue seeing more people going public, having the courage to speak up. Again, thank you, Notch. We're going to see much more combating against the, quote, misinformation and conspiracy theories. We'll probably see censorship step up a little bit more so as we get towards that FISA declassification. But once that hits, once FISA is declassed, we get the end of the Mueller report. Remember, then Huber is activated. We see that OIG report. There's going to be a lot of stuff snowballing. So will it happen this month? Could very well be. If it does, I'll be right here reporting on it for you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Done.